Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Nearly a century ago, on July 2, 1937, the world lost contact with one of its greatest adventurers. Amelia Earhart, along with her navigator Fred Noonan, vanished over the Pacific Ocean during a daring attempt to fly around the globe. Their disappearance sparked one of history's most captivating cold cases. For decades, the search was a story of dead ends and speculation, but today, the game has changed. We're no longer just relying on old maps. We're using cutting-edge science, from deep-sea robotics to forensic DNA analysis, to decode this enduring enigma. Let's dive into how modern technology is pulling back the curtain on the final, fateful flight of Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart wasn't just a pilot. She was a global icon who shattered records and stereotypes. She was the first woman to fly solo non-stop across the Atlantic. Her ultimate challenge was a 29,000-mile circumnavigation of the globe in her Lockheed Model 10E Electra. The final crucial leg of this journey was a grueling 556-mile flight from Lae, New Guinea to Howland Island, a tiny coral atoll where they planned to refuel. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca was stationed nearby, maintaining radio contact. But something went wrong. Earhart and Noonan couldn't find the island. Their last confirmed message crackled through the radio. "We are on the line, 157,337. We are running north and south." And then, silence. The initial search was the largest in American history at the time. For 16 days, ships and planes scoured an area of the Pacific the size of Texas, but found nothing. By 1939, the U.S. government officially concluded the Electra ran out of fuel, crashed into the ocean, and sank. But with no wreckage, the official story was just the beginning. Three main theories have dominated the conversation for decades. The first is the official crash and sink theory. It's the simplest explanation. Navigational errors, bad weather, and dwindling fuel led to a crash in the open ocean. The Electra was a land plane, so it wouldn't have floated for long in the unforgiving Pacific. This remains the most widely accepted theory, but the lack of any debris has always fueled alternatives. The most compelling of these is the Gardner Island hypothesis, now known as Nikumaroro. Championed by the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, or TIGHAR, this theory suggests that after failing to find Howland Island, Earhart and Noonan managed to land on the reef of this uninhabited island, about 350 miles to the southeast. The idea is that they survived for a time, sending out distress calls before their plane was washed away by the tides, and they eventually perished as castaways. A third, more conspiratorial theory involves Japanese capture. This hypothesis claims they entered Japanese-controlled territory in the Marshall Islands, were taken prisoner, and died in custody on Saipan, perhaps as part of a secret spying mission for the U.S. government. Most historians have dismissed this spy claim, but the theory persists. For years, these theories were just that, theories. But now, technology is allowing us to actively test them. The biggest game changer has been sophisticated sonar. Imagine using sound to paint a picture of the ocean floor, thousands of feet below the surface. That's what side-scan sonar does. It's towed by a ship or mounted on an autonomous underwater vehicle, an AUV, sending out acoustic pulses to create incredibly detailed images of the seabed. This is the primary tool in the hunt for Earhart's Electra. Multiple expeditions have put this tech to the test. In 2012, TIGHAR used a BLUEFIN-21 AUV to search the deep slopes off Nikumaroro, but the treacherous underwater terrain yielded no wreckage. Then, in January 2024, came a moment of global excitement. A deep-sea exploration company called Deep Sea Vision, using a state-of-the-art Hugin 6000 AUV, announced they had captured a sonar image of a plane-shaped object near Howland Island, resting at a staggering depth of 16,000 feet. The dimensions seemed to match the Lockheed Electra. the world held its breath. However, after a follow-up investigation in November 2024, the company confirmed the anomaly was just a natural rock formation. It was a major disappointment, but a perfect example of the scientific process in action. Even Dr. Robert Ballard, the man who found the Titanic, led an expedition to Nikumaroro in 2019. His team used ROVs and sonar, but also came up empty. The search continues, with another company, Nauticos, planning a new expedition in 2025 based on new analysis of the Electra's radio system, which they believe has drastically narrowed the search area. While some search the depths, others are sifting through evidence on land, specifically on Nikumaroro. The castaway theory has been supported by a fascinating collection of artifacts found on the island over the years. These include fragments of a 1930s-era woman's shoe, buttons matching those on Earhart's flight gear, and even pieces of an aluminum panel. One of the most compelling finds by TIGHAR was a shattered jar that strongly resembles a container of Dr. C.H. Berry's freckle ointment, a product Earhart was known to dislike but use. But the most significant piece of evidence is a partial skeleton discovered on the island way back in 1940. At the time, a British doctor dismissed the bones as male, and they were subsequently lost. But the measurements remained. In a 2018 study, forensic anthropologists used modern techniques to re-examine those original measurements. Their conclusion was stunning. The remains were more similar to Earhart than 99% of individuals in a large reference sample. This led to the tantalizing possibility of a definitive DNA match. Researchers even located bones in a museum that matched the description of the lost Nikumaroro remains, hoping to compare their DNA with Earhart's living relatives. Unfortunately, in 2021, those tests came back inconclusive. The bones were not a match for Earhart. It was another setback, but the power of DNA analysis means that if the right evidence is ever found, we could get a conclusive answer. The Nikumaroro hypothesis is also bolstered by modern analysis of something that happened right after the disappearance: radio signals. In the days following July 2, 1937, dozens of radio operators across the Pacific and North America reported hearing faint distress calls. TIGHAR has meticulously analyzed these reports, arguing that many credible signals could have only come from the Electra's radio while it was on land, as it wouldn't function after a water crash. Using our modern understanding of how radio waves travel and bounce off the atmosphere, researchers have been able to triangulate the potential source of these signals, with some analyses pointing directly towards the vicinity of Nikumaroro. It's like hearing ghosts from the past, but with a scientific filter, adding yet another layer. In November 2025, the U.S. National Archives began releasing thousands of previously declassified government records related to the disappearance. These include radio logs, search reports, and internal memos. While no bombshell revelation is expected, these documents give historians a more complete picture of the initial search and how the investigation was handled in those first crucial days and weeks. So, where does that leave us? The mystery of Amelia Earhart's disappearance is a puzzle with many missing pieces, but each piece we find, whether it's a sonar anomaly that turns out to be rock, an inconclusive DNA test, or a newly analyzed radio log, brings us closer to the truth by eliminating possibilities. The crash and sink theory remains the most likely, but the evidence for the Nikumaroro castaway hypothesis is too compelling to ignore. The quest to find Amelia Earhart is a powerful testament to our fascination with the unknown and our refusal to let history's greatest mysteries lie unsolved. Powered by the ingenuity of the 21st century, the search is far from over. Whether the final chapter is written from the silent depths of the Pacific, the sands of a remote atoll, or the pages of a declassified file, one thing is certain: we are closer than ever to finding an answer. Thanks for listening to G Fun Facts Online,